In my last video, I talked about my love of musicals. You can watch that here if you are so inclined. In particular, I was talking about Andrew Lloyd Webber, or A.L. Dubs as his friends like to call him. No one calls him that. For those of you looking for a reference, Andrew Lloyd Webber is basically the Michael Bay of Broadway. Just loud, expensive, popular musicals. Snobs like me get to feel superior when you say that you like the musical Cats, and I get to tell you that you know nothing about musical theater. Because Cats is terrible. My favorite Broadway lyricist is Stephen Sondheim, which is not that controversial of a claim to make. Although his shows have not been maybe as popular as some of his contemporaries, he is well loved by the critics, and his fans adore him. Let's call him the Danny Boyle of Broadway. Into the Woods is my favorite of his shows. I would listen to this score constantly throughout high school. Because as you know, I was allergic to Friends. I think Into the Woods has a really interesting story structure. It's told in 2 acts with 1 intermission. At the very beginning, a narrator will walk out and proclaim, "Once upon a time." We're introduced to our protagonists, which are Cinderella, we have Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk fame, and then an entirely new creation for this show, the baker and his wife. Now each one of them has their own specific goals that they're setting out to do, but they all kind of cross paths in and of themselves, but they still tell the tale of a traditional fairy tale. Something bad happens, they overcome it, and then happily ever after. Except, is it? So in Act 2 we start out and seeing this happily ever after as it kind of devolves and goes into really rough times, and we find out that happily ever after isn't all that happy sometimes. They go all George R. R. Martin and start killing off some main characters, and we kind of have some personal growth with these characters, and they're no longer just simply those cardboard cutouts that we saw in the very first act, but they're actual real human beings. That's why I love how the second act starts when they have some new goals that they have to accomplish. How they start out, and hold your eardrums because I'm about to sing here. Into the woods, it's always when you think at last you're through, and then into the woods you go again to take another journey, which is this really simplistic way to tell about how we face our own fears in life. But what I love what Sondheim plays around with is using simple language to tell a really very complex and hard to tap into human emotion. How non-eloquent am I being right now? My other 2 favorite moments from the show, number 1 being Little Red Riding Hood coming back from obviously meeting the wolf for the first time and having her song, but it ends off like this. "And I know things now, many wonderful things that I hadn't thought of before. Do not put your faith in a cape and a hood. They will not protect you the way that they should. And take extra care with strangers. Even flowers have their dangers, and though scary is exciting, nice is different than good." Another Broadway performer, because they would know when to breathe when they're singing. My second favorite moment is the baker's wife, who goes through this really interesting transformation in the second act, where she actually cheats on her husband because she has an option to go with a prince. She kind of laments her position that she's in right then at the play and goes, "Oh, but if life were made of moments, even now and then a bad one. But if life were only moments, then you never know you had one." Which I realize, again, is kind of cookie-cutter kindergarten-y stuff, but at the same time, when told in the context of this show, it lands, I feel, so hard for you, because she's right. It's like, we strive all the time to have these great, amazing lives, but if that's what it always was, then we would take it for granted. We wouldn't enjoy those moments of pure bliss. Anyway, so yeah, I love musical theater. I love Into the Woods. I love Stephen Sondheim. And they're making a movie of this coming Christmas 2014 with Johnny Depp as one of the wolf characters, and we have Meryl Streep as the witch character, which, oh man, I can't. There's not even enough evens for me to can't about it. It just, I need to see this movie in my eyeballs, like right now. And then be incredibly disappointed and be like, the original was so much better. Because I love being pompous. Want me to talk more about this? Are there other shows that you'd like to know my opinion about? If so, leave them down in the comments below. And I totally admit, my singing ability is not there at all. Let's just say that I Russell Crowe'd it, okay? And pay me millions of dollars. I'll see you next time.